On this episode of Mix and Some Magic, I'm talking VIP tours at Disneyland. I just went on one and I'm going to tell you everything you need to know if you've got a Disneyland VIP tour on your bucket list. I'm going to tell you what's included, what's not included, how much it actually costs, and maybe the most important question, is it worth the price? Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Melissa with Mix and Some Magic. I'm a Disney planning expert and I'm here to mix a little magic into your day. Each week I share Disney vacation planning tips, park strategies, and a little bit of Disney history sprinkled in. Of course, I like to include lots of Disney magic. Join me, let's mix in some magic.
Welcome! I'm happy to have you here. I hope you're having a great day. If you're new here, my name is Melissa with Mix and Some Magic. We have a new podcast episode every single Wednesday, and if you are a Disney fan, you are in the right place. If you're planning a Disney vacation, you are also in the right place. So hello, welcome. I'm happy to have you. I am so excited for this episode. I can't wait to share everything you need to know about a Disneyland VIP tour. It's going to be amazing. But first, let's talk about some Disneyland news. Halloween time just barely kicked off at the Disneyland Resort. I was there and it was pretty exciting. You know, I love Halloween time. I talk about it constantly. It's just such a fun time to be in the parks. And this year was, of course, no exception. I got to try all kinds of different food. It was fun to have some different options and still have some reoccurring options. I tried the poison apple macaron from the Jolly Holiday Bakery Cafe. I really enjoyed it. Very yummy. Plus it's adorable. But maybe my favorite thing that I tried so far was the green apple lemonade. I think they're calling it the Oogie Boogie lemonade now. It's from Smoke Jumper's Grill in California Adventure. They had it a couple years ago. It wasn't around last year, but it was back this year, and it is so good. It's like a green apple lemonade, and then there's some cherry syrup around the inside rim of the cup, and then there's some cherry popping boba pearls. Boba pearls? I don't think that's what you say. Boba. I think you just say boba. I'm going to go with that. But it is absolutely delicious. One of my favorite things. I tried a lot of really great things. I'm going to be sharing a ton of them over on my Instagram. So if you're not following along there, click in the link in the show notes. Come follow along. I am going back to Disneyland in, I think, 2 weeks. And I have a bunch of other things on my list to try. But the food was great. There was tons of different choices and some favorites returning. So that's always fun. The decorations were, of course, on point. Disney knows how to do decorations, especially over in Cars Land. It just looks so good over there during Halloween time. I got to see the characters in their costumes. Mickey, Minnie, Pluto, Chip and Dale, Donald, and Daisy all have new costumes every single year, and they were, of course, adorable this year too. I think I like their costumes this year better than last year, but they were so cute. I got to ride on the Haunted Mansion Holiday. I absolutely love seeing the change every year for Halloween time. I do prefer the original version, but I love riding it as the Haunted Mansion Holiday version too, just because it's something different. It's fun to see that change every year, even though the original Haunted Mansion will always be my favorite. But in the ballroom scene, there is a gingerbread house on the dining room table. This is updated every single year. It's a different theme. It looks completely different, and it's an actual real gingerbread house. And then the dining room also smells like gingerbread. So fun. That's probably my very favorite part of Haunted Mansion Holiday. Oogie Boogie Bash also starts this week. I won't be going on the first night, but I'll be going in a couple of weeks when I head back. I've got a really cute costume that I'm excited about, so that should be fun. If you are visiting Disneyland during Halloween time, check out my Halloween workshop over on Instagram. There's a bunch of information about visiting Disneyland during Halloween time. Plus, I have 2 videos that are about 45 minutes each that I have saved on there covering everything you need to know about Halloween time. So this is for my subscribers only, but being a subscriber is just $4.99 a month. You can cancel anytime. So even if you're just visiting for Halloween time, go over, become a subscriber, pay your $5, get all the information you need to know, and it will be well worth your money and time. All this information that I share is, of course, available everywhere, but you're going to spend hours and hours and hours searching through different websites and different blog posts and going all over Instagram trying to find all this information that I have packaged up for you in 2 neat little videos. So go over there, check it out if you haven't already. I've been hearing from people how helpful it has been for them, and I want it to be helpful for you too. So there is a link in the show notes to my Instagram. Over on my homepage, there's a little button that says subscribe. You just click there, and then you'll have access to all of the content over there for Halloween time workshop guests. Plus, over for my subscribers, I am so excited about this. I have started a Disney book club. September is our very first month, and we're reading a book all about Raleigh Crump. It's called It's Kind of a Cute Story. And I just got my book in the mail today, and I'm so excited. So I love book clubs, but I don't get around to going to them very often. And I thought it would be fun to combine my love of Disney and my desire to read more. So that's what I'm doing over for subscribers. We are going to read a different book every month. And then we're going to have a Zoom call to kind of like hang out and talk about some of our favorite parts of the book. I mean, maybe we'll talk about the book a lot. Maybe we'll talk about the book a little. Maybe we'll just hang out and chitty chat. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to go, but I'm really excited for it. So if you love Disney, and I think you do because you're here, and you also like to read, or maybe you just want to read more, or maybe you just want to like come and hang out and make Disney friends, then for sure, click on over to my Instagram, come join our subscribers because it is going to be fun. In other Disney news, San Francisco area in California Adventure opened up. Now, this isn't like a total redo of this area. It's just kind of a refresh, and they've changed the theming, and it's really, really great. I was there to see it when it first opened, and it kind of just feels like this is how it should have been from the very beginning. So it's a really great area called San Francisco. The area is inspired by the Baymax Big Hero 6. I always call it the Baymax movie. That's not it. The Big Hero 6 movie starring Baymax and Hero. And it's such a fun area. They've got merch. They've kind of got a bunch of new signage. They have a new restaurant called Aunt Cass's Kitchen, and they have different merch, and they have different areas set up for like photo ops, picture backdrops, things like that. Really cute, but probably the highlight for myself and for everyone is that you can now meet Baymax and Hero over in that area, which is pretty cool. Now, when I was there, the line was about 2 hours long, so I did not wait to meet Baymax, but I did get to stand on the side and just see him interact with other guests, and it was pretty cool. He talks to guests, and he's just adorable. Ask him to tell you a joke. If you get up there and you freeze during character interactions like I do, ask him to tell you a joke. He's very, very cute. So if you're going to Disneyland, definitely add that to your list, especially if you are a Big Hero 6 fan. If your kids don't know who Baymax is and Big Hero 6, that is a movie you should show them before your vacation because I know they will love it. Also, I know we just talked about Haunted Mansion Holiday, but I forgot to bring this up. We got word that they are going to be expanding the Haunted Mansion queue, and it will reopen that area in 2024. So over by Haunted Mansion, there is this fountain, and it's outside of the attraction, but often it is an overflow for the ride. So when the ride lines get long, they send guests through that area. They are going to be kind of revamping the queue area and extending it a little bit into that section. And I've heard that they're going to be adding some cool interactive elements to the queue as well. So we'll have to wait and see, but that would be pretty awesome. So that's going to be happening soon. It will hopefully get guests. Well, oftentimes they have to line up and it just takes up a lot of space over in that area. So I think they're going to try to condense that a little bit. They also announced that when we are now exiting the queue, there will soon be a new Haunted Mansion shop over in that area. So when you exit, there will be a Madame Leota's shop, which will be fun to have a kind of a Haunted Mansion themed shop right there at the exit of Haunted Mansion. Right now, they do have a Haunted Mansion themed shop, but it is over in New Orleans Square. So it'll make more sense to move it over near the exit to Haunted Mansion. Now, with this reconfiguration of the queue, they're also going to be adding more seating to Tiana's Palace, which opens in just a few days. This weekend, it opens September 7th. So that won't happen immediately, but eventually there will be more seating over in that area, which I think is really smart because it is already kind of tight on the seating situation, and everyone knows once it opens as Tiana's Palace, it is going to be hugely popular and they're going to need a lot more seating. So that is good news all around, and I think it will be fun. We don't have any word yet on whether or not they will be closing Haunted Mansion while they're kind of doing some rerouting of the queue, but I'll let you know if we get that information. Before we move on to the rest of our episode, I wanted to share a review I got. You guys know that reviews just, they make me so happy and they help me grow. So I really appreciate it when anyone takes the time to rate or leave a review on whatever platform you're listening on. It really helps me out. This review comes from Patty Loves Disney. It says, fun and informative. I truly enjoy listening to this podcast. I love all the Once Upon a Time episodes because Melissa shares such fun tidbits about Disneyland that most people don't know. She also has great tips for any Disneyland goer. Thank you, Melissa, for such a fun podcast. Thank you so much, Patty, for leaving a review. I appreciate it so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Big news for Mixin' Some Magic is happening this week. I have a website, which a lot of you know about, that I've put together myself, and it wasn't great because I, believe it or not, am not a website designer, or I don't do anything with technology at all. So I put together my website using like prayer and Google and YouTube tutorials, and it was okay, but I'm so excited because just today, my new website is up and it's completely redesigned. I had someone like a professional do my website and it looks amazing. I'm so excited about it. I feel like a grown-up. I feel like an adult with this new website. Like I have something good and I'm in love with it. So I got a new logo as well, which I'm excited about, but I'm kind of sad too because I loved my old logo. But it was time for a change and it just fits my new Mixin' Some Magic brand better. So I do still have stickers. Look, I have this cup back there that my friend Juanita sent me that has my logo on it. And I'm going to cherish those things with my old logo. They're like vintage now. But I am excited for my new logo. I'm excited for my new website. It just looks so good over there. It really does. So check it out. I'm going to put a link over there. Go check out my website. Oh, I'm excited. All right, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, the moment you've all been waiting for and the moment I've been waiting for too, I get to tell you all about the VIP tour I took at Disneyland just a few days ago. And I can't wait. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Mixin' Some Magic. If you're heading to Disneyland soon and you are feeling stressed and overwhelmed at the idea of your vacation, then stop. I am here to help. I know this vacation is expensive. I know it's taking a lot of your time and your money, and you want it to be as perfect as possible. I get it. That puts a lot of stress on you. I know how that feels. That's why I have created some touring plans that utilize Genie Plus to help you take the stress out of your Disneyland day, because one of the most stressful parts of being at Disneyland is feeling like you are spending too much time in line, feeling like you don't know where to go next, and feeling like you don't know how to properly utilize Genie Plus and your time correctly so that you're not waiting in those super long lines. I don't want you to wait in long lines either. That's why I've created these touring plans. It gives you a step-by-step guide to your Disneyland day. If there's an attraction on the list that you don't want to ride, you just skip it and move on to the next one. It will tell you when to book your lightning lanes and then tell you which ride in order to go on so that you can avoid the longest lines at Disneyland. They're super helpful, and I think this will take the stress out of your Disney day. I'm going to put a link to them in the show notes so that you can check them out. Breathe a collective sigh of relief, everyone. Touring plans are here to help, and I know it will make a big difference in your Disneyland day. Welcome back. Ooh, you can't see my face unless you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify, but I'm so excited. This Disneyland VIP tour was a dream come true, and I can't believe that I was able to make it happen, honestly. I mean, I've seen people on these VIP tours for years and years and years, and I just always thought it was completely out of reach for me and something that I would never get to do. And then the stars aligned, and I was able to do a VIP tour at Disneyland, and it exceeded my wildest expectations. It was amazing, and I'm so excited to chat with you about it today. Let's first start with what is a Disneyland VIP tour. So if you don't know, a Disneyland VIP tour is a special tour you book through the Disneyland Resort. You have to call to book it, then they'll give you pricing. The pricing isn't even listed online, which tells you that it's expensive. The pricing does vary by the time of year and your group size. We'll talk about that more in a bit, but it's this private tour through Disneyland that really caters to what you want to do, how you want to tour and experience Disneyland. So they give you a VIP tour guide, and the tour guide walks you through the parks and really tries to create your ideal Disney day. They want you to have fun. They want you to do what you want to do. And it's pretty amazing to tour Disneyland like that. I especially appreciated it because when I go to Disneyland, I am usually in charge of the schedule. When I'm there with my family, they are looking to me to tell them where we're going next, what we're doing next, where we're going to eat, all those kinds of things. So the fact that I got to show up at Disneyland and not have to think about a single part of my day or schedule, but know that I just got to follow our tour guide around and know that we were going to have a great day was pretty amazing. So here's some of the things that the Disneyland VIP tour does. So your tour guide will plan your day. You tell the concierge when you're booking your tour kind of how you want your day to go. Maybe you're really focused on hitting all of the biggest attractions. Maybe you want to get as many rides as possible done during the day. Maybe you're interested in seeing a bunch of entertainment, or maybe you want to meet as many characters as possible, or maybe you want to learn about Disney history. Your tour guide can do all of those things. You just have to let them know what you're looking for and they can make it happen. They can also book your dining reservations. So maybe you really want to eat at the Blue Bayou. It's hard to get reservations there. No worries. You're going to tell your concierge about it. They're going to book it in advance for you so you don't even have to worry about it. And you'll be able to have the dining reservations anywhere you want to go. You also get priority seating for the parade, for any nighttime shows that you want to see, and for any shows that offer seating like Rogers, or if you wanted to go see Tale of the Lion King, things like that, they can get you reserved seating for those shows. We'll talk about that more later too. You also get expedited access to attractions. Now, this isn't like front of the line access to attractions. They give you expedited access to the attractions. So if you are going on an attraction like Rise of the Resistance that has a lightning lane, they will take you in through the lightning lane. If you're going on an attraction like Peter Pan, they will blend you into the line close to the front. So you're really not going to wait very long at all for any attractions, but they're not going to stop the line and march you past a bunch of people who have already been waiting, because that would be rude and people would be mad. But they kind of blend you in towards the front of the line on those rides that don't have lightning lanes, and on rides with lightning lanes, you just go into that line. So you do have expedited access to all the attractions. They also have VIP service that give you access to lockers, and like if you were there with your kids and you didn't have a stroller and then all of a sudden you decided this day really requires a stroller for my toddler, their VIP tour guide could get on their phone and call someone and they would come and deliver a stroller for you. Or maybe you've been wearing your sweatshirts all morning and you decide we don't want these sweatshirts anymore. Your VIP tour guide can call someone, they'll come and pick up your sweatshirts for you and go put them in a locker for you. So that's pretty awesome. You also get a lot of storytelling if you want with your tour guide, and I think most people do. So as they are walking you through the park, they're going to point out like cool features, things that you probably don't know. They're going to talk about different history, things like that along the way, and you can have as little or as much of that as you want. They can also grab treats or snacks for you. So say you're getting on Space Mountain and you're like, man, we could really go for some churros. You can give your tour guide your money and they can go wait in line for you and grab your churros or your popcorn or whatever it is. And then they can meet you right after the attraction and have those things for you ready to go. That's pretty amazing. They can also get you in to meet characters. So maybe your kids really want to meet Elsa and Anna. Well, the line for Elsa and Anna is usually about an hour. It's pretty long because they're so popular. But you get expedited access to characters as well. So you'll be able to get in to see those characters much more quickly. Now, you're not able to have expedited access to every single character, like some of the characters on Main Street that have lines waiting for them. You can definitely wait in line to meet them, but they're not going to stop the line and put you in the front of it with this VIP tour. However, you can meet Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse over at their houses. They will put you in the front of the line in those situations because they can work you in through the back so that people don't see that, Disney is stopping the line to let you in. So they will do that for Mickey and Minnie. They'll also do that at to meet the princesses over at Royal Fantasy Fair. They'll do that for Tinkerbell. They'll do that for Elsa and Anna. Who else? I think that might be all of them. I can't remember off the top of my head. But that's pretty cool. So we met our tour guide at 8 a.m. We were on a 7-hour tour. The tour has a 7-hour minimum. So you can do more if you want, but the minimum is 7 hours. So we went with the minimum because we were trying to pay as little money as possible. So we went with the minimum 7 hours. I thought it was the perfect amount of time. I mean, I could have done longer. That would have been great too, but 7 hours worked out really well. So we met our guide right outside of the Disneyland ticket gates, right by the strollers. So our guide was Philander. He's this amazing Disneyland tour guide. He's been with the Disney company for a really long time, and he is very sought after for Disneyland VIP tours. Now you can request your tour guide. We requested Philander and he was able to do our tour, but just because you request a tour guide, it doesn't mean you're going to automatically get that tour guide, because the tour guides all do different things, wear different hats throughout the Disneyland resort. So you might get them, you might not, but you can definitely always put in your request. But whoever you get, your tour guide is going to be absolutely amazing. They only make the best of the best cast members VIP tour guides. So I'm sure whoever you get, you're going to love your tour guide. Now, when we met Philander, he had some presents for us. He gave us these little VIP tour pins that were plaid. It says VIP tour on them. He also gave us some VIP tour buttons, which were really cute. And then he gave us some Mickey Mouse ears, like those traditional hat style Mickey Mouse ears. So that was pretty fun. So we started our day with presents. That's a great way to start the day. And then we decided to hit Peter Pan first off. I know, right? You're never supposed to go on Peter Pan first thing in the day, but because we were on a VIP tour, that's what we did, and it worked out really, really well. We didn't like stop the whole line and march everyone to the front, but they kind of worked us in, and I think we ended up waiting about 5 minutes for Peter Pan. Not bad, especially right first thing in the morning. Now, like I was saying, you can customize your VIP tour to be whatever you want it to be. So if you're really, really set on going on as many rides as possible, you can totally do that. You can tell your concierge when you're booking your trip, we want to move super fast. We want to hit ride after ride after ride. We don't want to stop. We just want to go, 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 go. You can definitely do that. We, as a group, decided that is not the kind of tour that we wanted to do because we visit Disneyland so often. I was there with a bunch of friends who do Disneyland often. We decided that for us, it would be more fun to go around with Philander and learn about a lot of the history and the storytelling, kind of the insider things around the Disneyland resort that most people don't even notice because most of the time when we're at Disneyland, we're hurrying from attraction to attraction to attraction. So we wanted to take it slow and really just enjoy the day and the history and any stories that Philander wanted to tell us. And oh my goodness, he had so many stories to tell us. They were absolutely amazing. So you really can customize your day. I did ask him how many attractions you could get on if you were really, really hurrying and trying to do a bunch of things, as many as possible on a VIP tour. And he said with a 7-hour tour, you can usually get on about 20 attractions in 7 hours, which is pretty amazing. And I mean, I would totally love to try a VIP tour that way next time. Do you think I'll be able to get on another Disneyland VIP tour? I don't know. We'll see. But if I ever do, I would love to try to see how many things I could get done if I was going as quickly as possible. But that wasn't the tour that we wanted to go on this time. So our tour was much slower paced. And that was nice because it was a very, very hot day. I think it was 96 degrees. So it was nice that we weren't rushing around, that we could take it slow. And we had such a great time. So after Peter Pan, we did some more rides. We took a bunch of pictures because we were all wearing these super cute plaid Mickey Mouse shirts, and we had these plaid VIP ears. So of course we had to get some adorable pictures, and that was really fun. And as the day went on, as the morning went on, we decided that we were hungry. We needed a little snack break. Philander went and picked us up some pizza bread from Edelweiss Snacks, and it was so good. Pizza bread is this new snack they have over there, and it's like a pretzel bread with a garlic butter spread on it and sprinkled with cheese, and then you dip it in marinara sauce. And it is so good. I had it 2 times that day because I loved it so much. So we got our pretzel bread. We took a little sit-down break, and I just thought I better plug that pretzel bread on this episode because it was that delicious. 2 times in one day I had it, and now I'm trying to figure out how to come up with a copycat recipe for it. I'm working on it, but definitely add pizza bread to your list from Edelweiss Snacks, or you can get it at Maurice's Treats, but we liked Edelweiss Snacks because you can mobile order. After we had our little snack, we went over to Galaxy's Edge. We got to hear a lot of stories and history about Galaxy's Edge, all this insider information. And then, of course, we got to ride Rise of the Resistance in the middle of the day, which I never do because, I don't like waiting in that super long line. I always save it for the very end of the day, right before the attraction closes, because I don't want to wait for it. But we got to go in the lightning lane. It was so awesome. And one of my favorite things was Philander was in charge of everything. So I didn't even have to pull out my phone and find my ticket to scan to get into the lightning lanes. He did all of that. So we got to ride Rise of the Resistance in the lightning lane, and that lightning lane puts you on really, really quickly. So that was fun, a fun way to ride Rise of the Resistance by not waiting in line at all. One of the things that I thought was pretty cool is that the Disneyland VIP tour guides have on their phone access to insider information. So they can, before we even walked over to Rise of the Resistance, he was checking to make sure that A, it was running, and B, if it wasn't running, how long was it actually going to be down? So they have different information available to them than we can see on the Disneyland app. So they know why an attraction is down and how long it will be down. Is it down because of something that can be fixed in 5 minutes, or is something seriously wrong and it's going to be closed the rest of the day? They can see that information, so that your tour guide is not going to walk you over across the park to an attraction only to find that it is closed down. They're going to save you that walk and that time. So that's kind of cool that they have that insider information to help them out, to help guide you through the parks more effectively. After we were done at Galaxy's Edge, we went over to the Hungry Bear for lunch, and I got to try some of the new Halloween offerings over there. I got this bacon burger that was good, but it was a tiny bit spicy. It had this orange sauce on it that I thought was good. It was like a red pepper sauce. So in my mind, for some reason, I didn't clue in that it was going to be spicy. The red pepper flakes are spicy, and the sauce was a little spicy, but it was good overall. I did drip some of this orange sauce on my white Disneyland VIP tour t-shirt, and I was pretty bummed about it. But my friend had a shout wipe, and I rubbed it on the spot, and it just totally disappeared. It took maybe like 30 minutes, but it took this bright orange sauce spot completely off my shirt. So from now on, I am carrying shout wipes with me in my park bag because I was amazed. I don't even know how it did it. It was amazing. Maybe it's Disney magic. Maybe shout wipes work better at Disneyland. I don't know. But that's my little plug for putting shout wipes in your bag. So after lunch, we hopped over to California Adventure. And once we got there, then there was another tour guide that met us there and gave us some water bottles because we were getting thirsty. So they brought us water, and they also gave us these VIP tour ponchos just in case we wanted to go on Grizzly River Run and not get wet. We didn't end up riding on Grizzly River Run. Now I have this really awesome VIP tour poncho that I'm pretty excited about because I always wear ponchos on Grizzly River Run. I used to wear them on Splash Mountain, and I'm sure I will be wearing it on Tiana's Bayou Adventure once that opens back up. After that, we got to ride Web Slingers, which I am never like jumping up and down excited to ride Web Slingers, except I was excited to ride Web Slingers with Philander because he is like a web slinger master and always gets super high scores. So I knew if we rode with him, he was going to give us some insider information and tell us how to get high scores on the ride. And he did not disappoint. So as we were going through the attraction, he was pointing out all kinds of cool things that I never would have even noticed, just about the queue that we were standing in, all kinds of interesting information. And then when we got closer to the front of the ride, he gave us some tips to help us boost our scores. So he told us that it doesn't matter how you hold your hands. Like most people hold them like Spider-Man does when he shoots webs. I'm showing you. Can you see me? Most people hold their hands like that, and that's totally fine, but you don't have to hold your hand like that. The system just registers that your wrists are moving. So if you want to hold your hands like karate chop, you can. If you want to hold your hands like you're punching, you totally can. But they didn't want it to have anything to do with your hands and more to do with your wrists than anything. So it doesn't matter what position your hands are in. It's just the fact that your wrists are moving that the system registers. Now, if you aim for the green and the gold spider bots, they're worth more points. So that will give you more points. So aim for those. But in levels 2 and 3, there's these huge spiders that come down, and they have some battery packs on them. I think they're called battery packs. If you shoot those off, then they kind of fly off, and then there's kind of gives you a view into the inside of the spider and kind of like the mechanical workings of that. Shoot those, and that will get you more points. Also, when you get to the last level, then Spider-Man is trapped in this little glass cage, and there's 4 arms that are holding, like 4 metal beam type things that are holding the cage, and on them there are lights. If you coordinate with your team before you start, and each of you take a different leg of the device that's holding Spider-Man and shoot those lights, your points are going to go way higher because you get like bonus team points, and then that boosts your whole score, and that's like the best thing you can do to get a higher score is to work together on a team, which is pretty awesome if you can get your team to work together. I can't remember what my score has been in the past, so I think maybe it went up. I'm not sure, but it was fun to get all the insider information and learn how to actually play web slingers well. Also, if you listen, then Spider-Man and the computer system, her name is Sharon, I think will give you information that is helpful and kind of tell you where to shoot and what to aim for if you're listening during the attraction. Most people don't because you're busy shooting the spider bots, but if you listen, then you get more insider information that's helpful as well. One of the things I really wanted to do on this VIP tour was ride on Radiator Springs Racers because the line is always so stinking long. I wanted to go expedited access through the Lightning Lane to ride on Radiator Springs Racers, but unfortunately it was down for most of the day on our VIP tour, which was kind of a bummer. So we weren't able to ride on Radiator Springs Racers. But we did get a line for Guardians of the Galaxy, which is one of my very favorites, and I was excited for that. But while we were in line, then Philander got a notification on his phone, and it told him that a good portion of the elevators on Guardians of the Galaxy had gone down, which meant they were still running. I think there's 6 elevators total, and they were only running 2. And he was like, we're not waiting in this line because it's going to take way too much time. We don't have that kind of time. And we were able to get out of line, which was really nice because Philander knew, because of his little insider information, how long the attraction was going to be closed. Even though the attraction wasn't technically closed, he could tell that we were going to wait for a very long time. And that's not what we wanted to do on our VIP tour. So we went and rode Soarin' around the world instead, which was absolutely amazing. Well, about that point, our tour was over. Sort of, because we got to do more stuff later in the day. We're going to talk about it. And it was kind of sad to say goodbye to Philander. We were like, what are we going to do without you? Who's going to tell us all these cool stories and walk us through the park and get us expedited access to the attractions? So it was kind of sad to say goodbye to Philander, but before he left, he gave us 3 multi-experience passes that we could use later in the day. One was for Radiator Springs Racers, so we were able to ride that later, which was really nice because we weren't able to ride it on the tour. So he gave us a multi-experience pass for that, and he also gave us 2 additional multi-experience passes because Guardians of the Galaxy had been down, so he wanted us to be able to ride that later if we wanted, and then we had another multi-experience pass that we could use however we wanted. So that was really nice of him. Since those rides we weren't able to do, then he made up for it later on so that we could do it later on our own time. Our tour ended at about 3 o'clock. By the time we got off Soarin', the tour was over, so we said goodbye to Philander, and then we headed over to the Hyperion Theater because we had reserved seating for Rogers the Musical. Now, I know I said I wasn't a huge fan of Rogers the Musical. I'm still not a huge fan, but I was happy to go and sit for 35 minutes and watch Rogers the Musical in the air-conditioned theater and have reserved seating for that. So after our tour was over, we headed over to the Hyperion Theater and we were able to sit really close to the front. They had seats blocked off for us. They had little chair covers on them that said reserved. So they got us right into those seats. We got to hang out there and watch Rogers. And I did like it better the second time because I was closer. I think where you sit makes a difference. So that was fun. Plus, just sitting down in the air-conditioned theater was fun. Plus, the fact that we didn't have to get into a virtual queue or wait in a long standby line was also really fun. I like watching Rogers that way. After that, we had reserved seating for the Magic Happens parade. I love sitting down for a parade, and this time we got to sit in actual chairs because I've sat on a curb before for the parade and I didn't mind that at all, but being able to sit in actual chairs was pretty amazing. So the parade route comes down past like the Matterhorn and it goes in front of Pixie Hollow and then kind of swerves around in front of the castle and goes past the partner statue and then it heads down Main Street. So they had reserved seating for us for the parade right by the partner's statue. So as the parade is coming down past the Matterhorn and past Pixie Hollow, we get like a great view of it right there. So that's where we got to see the parade, and we got to sit down. There were 2 rows of chairs. We were in the first row, but the second row would have had just as good of a view. And sitting down for the parade was amazing. So because we had been on a VIP tour, we still got access to the parade. So I think some people assume that if you don't watch the parade or the shows while you're actually on your tour, then you don't get to have VIP access to the seating areas, which is not true. If you've been on a VIP tour at any time during the day, then you can sit in that section. So we just went over to the section, we told them our name, they let us in, and we sat and watched the parade. And right before it started, I mobile ordered more pizza bread. So I sat there and drank my Diet Coke and ate my pizza bread while I was waiting for the parade to start. It was so great. I loved it. And then after the parade, we had dining reservations that our concierge had made for us at Carnation Cafe. So we headed over there and we got to sit and enjoy a nice leisurely meal at Carnation Cafe. That was so great. And then maybe, oh man, can I even say it was a highlight? Probably. After dinner, we got to sit on benches in front of the castle and watch the Wondrous Journeys fireworks and projection show. And that was absolutely magical because I've seen the fireworks in front of the castle before, but never have I ever sat on a bench in front of the castle and had that kind of view. I mean, there is something to be said for sitting on a bench and watching fireworks, especially at the end of the day when it's been so hot and you've been so tired. To just sit and enjoy was pretty amazing. So once again, we had to give them our names. They have the area blocked off. They checked us off the list, let us into the section, and then we hung out there and watched the fireworks show. And it was amazing. I loved it. Loved that view. And man, it's really going to be hard to watch the parade or fireworks while standing up from here on out because it was so nice to be able to sit for that portion of the show. I loved the projections on the castle, but I do have to say, I think the projections on Small World are a little bit better than the projections on the castle because Small World is such a bigger canvas. There's more area to work with for the show and you can just see more. So although I love the castle view, if I'm sitting down, if I have to stand up, I'm probably going to go over to Small World every time because I think the projections are great over there and I don't have to get there as early. And that was the end of our magical VIP tour day. So even though our VIP tour ended at 3 p.m., I still felt like we were kind of on our VIP tour for the rest of the night because we had those multi-experience passes we were able to use. We got to have reserved seating for Rogers. We got reserved seating for the parade. We had reserved seating for fireworks. Plus they made our dining reservation for us. So I thought that was pretty amazing. Now, if you are going to go on a VIP tour, I think it's really helpful if you know ahead of time what you want to do. So when you are calling to book your VIP tour, kind of have an idea of how you want it to go in your mind so you can convey that information to them. Because the more information you can share with them when you're booking, the more information they can then give to your tour guide and they can craft your experience to really fit what you want to do. So if you want to be really ride heavy, go ahead and tell your concierge that. If you know where you want to eat, make sure you tell them that. If you want to do the fireworks and the parade, all those things, tell them that so that they know what they can do to really make your day special. And they can kind of decide who would be a good tour guide to fit your needs as well. Like I mentioned before, the tours are a 7-hour minimum, but you can go longer if you want. If you're going to do a VIP tour, I think it's smart to be strategic about it. I liked how we did our tour so that we started in the morning, we finished in the afternoon, and then we got to do the parade and fireworks and all of those things. I definitely wouldn't schedule your tour over the parade and fireworks time. Do you know what I'm saying? So if you're going to do a 7-hour tour, you wouldn't want it to go until 10 p.m. if you're planning on watching fireworks and the nighttime parade or the evening parade, because that would eat up your tour time, and you can do that on your own time as part of the VIP tour. So I would definitely make sure the VIP tour that you're taking finishes before you watch that parade or go to that fireworks show or whatever it is that you're planning on doing, because you don't want to have that count as part of your VIP tour time, if that makes sense. I think maybe if I were to do it again, I would maybe start at 11 a.m. and make sure I have lunch right before it starts, or a really late breakfast, so I don't have to take the time out to stop for a meal. So if we went from 11 till 6 p.m., then as soon as the tour ended, our tour guide could drop us off either at the parade or at dining reservations or something like that. And then I would have more time for attractions or rides. I think that's what I would do if I were to do it again. And I really want to do it again. We'll see if I can make it happen someday. Someday. I mean, I checked it off my bucket list. Do you think you can put something back on your bucket list? Or once it's off your bucket list, is it off your bucket list forever? So even though I've done a VIP tour, can I add it to my bucket list again? I think so. I think it's still on my bucket list because it was so great. So like I said before, it's a 7-hour minimum, but you can go longer if you want. If you're like, no, we're going to need 9 hours, you will tell your concierge all of that when you're booking it, and they'll make it happen for you. Now the price varies greatly depending on the time of year that you visit. So we visited at the lowest price you can get, the lowest time of year. It was right before Halloween started, and we were charged $500 per hour, and it was a 7-hour minimum. So the price can go up. I know that in a couple of weeks during Halloween time, it's going to be like $750 an hour. It can go up to $800 or $900 an hour. So if you're trying to do the cheapest time possible, then an off season would be best. And if you're not, they don't publish the prices or things like that on their website. So you can call the VIP tour booking number. It's on Disneyland's website. It's really easy to find, and they can tell you how much it will cost for the times that you're thinking. Or if you're like, listen, I need to go the cheapest time possible, then they can easily look that up for you. So we paid $500 an hour. We had a 7-hour tour. So our total was $3,500 for those 7 hours. That didn't include our food. That didn't include our park admission. We still had to get our park admission and make our park reservations beforehand. That just included our time with the tour guide. Now you can have up to 10 people on your tour. If you have more than 10 people, you're going to need 2 tour guides. I said two funny. You're going to need 2 tour guides, and then they're going to charge you for two tour guides. That's hard to say. They're going to charge you for 2 tours is what I'm saying, if you have more than 10 people, which is fine. It would be great to have 2 tour guides there too, but that's going to cost you more. Now, I really feel lucky because I only ended up paying $350 for this tour, because yes, it was $3,500, which is a lot. I'm not saying it's not a lot. That is a lot of money, but I had 10 of us on this tour, and we were able to split it 10 ways, which means I only paid $350 for my Disneyland tour. Now, whenever I've been pricing out tours, I hadn't been thinking in my mind, oh, I'll take a bunch of friends and split it 10 ways, because that is definitely the cheapest way to go. If I was going on a VIP tour and just taking my family, I would have been paying that $3,500 all myself, which would be expensive. But because I was able to split it 10 ways, $350, I felt like was a really great price for a 7-hour tour, plus all the stuff we got to do after the tour had ended. Now, to put it in perspective, I mean, $350 is still a lot of money, but the Main Street Story tour that I did a few months ago, that takes you around and tells you the history of Disneyland and take you up into Walt Disney's apartment, things like that. That tour is 90 minutes and it costs $160. But I got to go on a VIP tour for 7 hours. Plus you throw in all this, the sitting down for all the shows and things like that for $350. That's just a little more than double what I paid for the Main Street Story tour that was 90 minutes long. So I feel like my $350 was money well spent at Disneyland. I think I got every penny of worth out of that tour that I could possibly have gotten out of it. Now, I did want to mention that it is customary to tip your tour guide. There's no really set amount that you're required to tip them, and you're not required to tip them, but it's just customary and recommended. Also, if you were buying yourself a treat, you might want to offer to buy your tour guide a treat, things like that. I don't know if they would say yes or no, but it is nice to always offer, and it is customary to give them an envelope at the end with some cash in it for your tip. So that's what we did as a group. We all just put in some cash into the envelope and then handed it to our tour guide at the end of the day. Now, was it worth it? This is really hard. I mean, we've talked about this before, how it's hard to assign value to different things because we all value things differently. But for me, I would say that the VIP tour was 100% worth it. I only paid $350, which made it worth it. Now, had I gone at a more expensive time and paid for the whole thing myself, where I was paying like $5,000 myself, would I say it was worth it? I don't know. But for me to pay $350 to go on this tour was 100% worth it. It was an item that was on my bucket list, something that I've always wanted to do. And it was a dream come true. The whole day was amazing, absolutely perfect. And I couldn't have asked for it to go any better. So for me, it was totally worth it. For you, I don't know. That's something that you'll have to decide, but I hope it's on your bucket list. And if anyone needs another person to come on a VIP tour with them to help make up their 10 people, I don't know, send me a message. Maybe I want to go again. It was pretty great. It was funny though, because as we were on the tour, I would overhear people making comments like, oh, look, there goes those rich people. Or they'd say things like, oh, there's the millionaires on their tour. And I heard somebody say, that tour cost $8,000. Can't believe people can afford to go on it. And I wanted to run back over and be like, I'm not a millionaire and I didn't pay $8,000. I paid $350 to be on this tour, and you could too. But I didn't. But it was funny to overhear the comments that people were making as we were on our tour. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode, and hopefully maybe I put a little bug in your ear that maybe this VIP tour isn't out of reach. Because I honestly believed that it was too expensive and it was something I would never get to experience. And when we finally broke down the cost and figured out how much it was actually going to cost, it made it much more affordable. It was obviously still an expensive day at Disneyland, but not nearly as expensive as I imagined that it would be. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for listening. Make sure you check out my new website. I'll put a link in the show notes. I'm pretty excited about that. And I hope you have a great week. I hope you're doing something fun. It feels like Halloween time now, since I was just at Disneyland during Halloween time. I kind of feel like I need to get my Halloween decorations up and start getting ready for the spooky season. Just feels right now. I hope you have a great week. I will be back next week with something new. Thanks so much for listening. We'll talk soon.